In the dead of night, the earth in eastern Afghanistan erupted, roaring, not trembling, as entire villages crumbled in seconds. The ground heaved with a violence that seemed almost unimaginable, tearing apart the silence and plunging families into chaos. In an instant, the world these villagers knew was forever changed, as the darkness was split by the sound of collapsing homes and desperate cries for help. Homes that had stood for generations collapsed, trapping families beneath rubble, their cries piercing the darkness. The air was thick with dust and fear, as neighbors rushed to help, their flashlights flickering over the ruins. Every moment felt endless, as loved ones called out for those lost beneath the debris, hoping for a miracle in the suffocating night. By dawn, the devastation was total, villages reduced to ruins, survivors wandering in shock, searching for loved ones. The first light revealed the true scale of the disaster. Entire communities flattened, memories and livelihoods buried under broken walls. The silence of the morning was broken only by the sobs of those who had lost everything. The earthquake struck without warning, a cruel fate that spared some and buried others. There was no time to run, no chance to prepare, just a sudden, merciless force that changed lives in an instant. For many, the shock was as overwhelming as the destruction itself. Survivors clawed through debris with bare hands, desperate for any sign of life. With every stone lifted, hope flickered, sometimes rewarded, often crushed. The community came together, united by loss and determination, refusing to give up on those still missing. This was not just a natural disaster, but a human tragedy in a land already battered by decades of conflict. The earthquake added another layer of suffering to a people who had already endured so much, testing their resilience and spirit once again. As hope faded with each hour, the true cost emerged, in shattered lives and a future clouded by uncertainty. The pain of loss was etched on every face, and the long road to recovery had only just begun. The quake's epicenter struck deep within the remote mountainous provinces of Paktika and Khost, regions where daily life is already a constant struggle against harsh terrain and limited resources. Here, families have long endured hardship, but nothing could prepare them for the devastation that followed. Fragile mud brick homes, built by hand over generations, stood no chance against the violent tremors. Entire communities were wiped out in a matter of moments, leaving nothing but piles of rubble where lives once unfolded. The death toll soared past 800, with thousands more injured. Makeshift clinics and field hospitals were quickly overwhelmed, as survivors poured in, desperate for help and comfort amid the chaos. Landslides triggered by the quake buried narrow mountain roads, isolating entire villages and making rescue efforts nearly impossible. Emergency teams struggled to reach those in need, blocked by walls of debris. Aid convoys could not reach many of the hardest-hit areas. The unforgiving landscape itself became an enemy, turning every attempt at relief into a race against time and nature. Behind every statistic was a shattered family, a future stolen in an instant. Grief and loss echoed through the ruins as survivors mourned loved ones and the lives they once knew. The earthquake didn't just flatten buildings, it tore apart the very fabric of these tight-knit communities, scattering neighbors and friends and leaving a void where connection once thrived. Now silence hangs heavy over the valleys, replacing the laughter, voices, and vibrant life that once filled these mountain villages with hope. In the immediate aftermath, survivors became the first responders, acting with remarkable courage and urgency. With no equipment and little hope of outside help, they dug through collapsed homes with bare hands, desperate to save neighbors and loved ones trapped beneath the rubble. The Taliban government, already stretched thin by years of conflict, scrambled to respond, dispatching helicopters, doctors, and whatever resources they could muster. But the scale of devastation was overwhelming, and supplies were woefully inadequate. Blocked mountain roads and downed communication lines slowed rescue teams, forcing many to travel on foot for hours across rugged terrain, carrying only basic tools. Afghanistan's fragile infrastructure, already weakened by decades of war and neglect, buckled under the crisis, making coordinated rescue efforts nearly impossible. International aid, desperately needed, was delayed by political complexities and logistical hurdles, leaving countless families to wait in vain for relief that never seemed to come. For those trapped beneath the debris, every hour lost meant hope slipping further away, as anxious families waited for any sign of life or rescue. The world watched in horror, but for the people of Afghanistan, help was agonizingly slow to arrive, and the race against time continued. Despite political isolation, the scale of suffering drew a global response. The UN and NGOs mobilized, delivering emergency aid through blocked roads and treacherous terrain. Convoys became mule trains, inching supplies into the mountains. Mobile clinics treated wounds and trauma, offering hope amid despair. The Taliban's plea for help opened a narrow channel for international cooperation. For a moment, politics paused. Humanity took precedence. The focus was clear: save lives, ease suffering, and remind survivors they were not alone. Amid the devastation, small miracles emerged. Like a child pulled alive from rubble after days, communities shared what little they had, sheltering neighbors and feeding rescuers. Acts of generosity defied despair, showing the strength of solidarity. Aid workers were moved by the resilience and compassion they witnessed. Recovery will take years, measured in both rebuilt homes and healed hearts. The coming winter threatens thousands still without shelter. Supporting relief efforts is vital, so these whispers of hope can grow into lasting recovery.